Think about the sellers. They are under the assumption that they just sold their house. They're closing in 30 days when you lock it up under contract, and they're making arrangements. They're getting a moving truck. They're signing their new leases. They're getting ready packed, things like that. In 3 weeks, especially if you're wholesaling and you can't find a buyer, make sure you have a way to close on this property, because it's real crappy. And I've come across some of these situations where I talk to a seller and like, you know what? I had this under contract and the person backed out on me last minute. I don't know what to do now because I got other arrangements. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Eat, Sleep, and Invest. I'm your host, Brian Driscoll. And today I want to talk about something that a lot of investors ask me all the time. They ask, what do you do with the leads and how do you handle the sales process? So I see this a lot. So I wanted to make an episode specifically on this, laying out what I do and what I see some of the top guys do. So first thing is you need to determine like what's your lead source. So everyone's going to have a different lead source. Like here at Motivated Leads, we do pay per lead, plus we do like digital ads like Facebook, Google. They're all inbound leads. So I'm mainly going to talk about that type of source today because that's what I have experience with. But if you do mailers, SMS, cold calling, things like that, you're going to want to think this process through for what you do, right? So first thing, here's what we're going to look at. On inbound leads online, say the average cost per lead might be $250 or $300. So they're expensive, right? They're not cheap like an SMS lead you might get for like 10 or 15 bucks. So one thing that I see, it's very important, who's calling? Like who's calling the lead that first touch? You want to think about that. So if you're spending $250 to $300 a lead, you may have a different approach and different strategy than somebody that's straight cold calling people, right? For example, if you're cold calling, I can get behind spending $7-8 an hour and outsourcing it overseas. If I'm spending $300 or more for a lead, I'm not giving it to the $7 an hour guy is my first point of contact to call that person and vet them. Reason is, on our paper lead side in our business, we allow people to refund leads that are bad. Like people that said they weren't interested, things like that. And a lot of people will send us phone calls. I hear it more than I like to admit that someone tries to refund a lead. They're like, hey, you know what? This person said that they don't want to sell. And I listen to the call and it's someone speaking broken English. It's like, hey, this is Brian. I'm calling about your address at 123 Main Street that you just filled out a form. It said you had 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. Is this something you want to sell? Like I hear that kind of stuff in broken English, like robotic. And the person on the other line's like, take me off your list. Versus if somebody calls up and just like, hey, you know what? You just filled out a form on our site. Just give them a call. Do you have a couple minutes? I hear different outcomes like that. So first thing is, it's like, who do you want touching your leads? Like think about this in your business. Where are your leads coming from? How much are you paying for them? And if you could get an extra 10% close rate or 20% close rate, how much would that mean for your bottom line? Right? So that's one thing I see here. But also like with inbound leads, speed is so important. So number one, if anyone's listening and you're doing deals and you don't have a CRM, you need to get a CRM. I don't care what kind it is. We use Go High Level. Like Resimply, it's Resimpler or REI Simply. They call it 2 different names. They're decent from what I hear. Podio's good. Salesforce is good. Follow Up Boss is good. Pipedrive's good. All of these CRMs are decent. I do see some investors not using CRMs, and I do see them failing more than people that do use CRMs. And here's the reason. Say we send you a lead. We're going to text and email it to you, right? And then if you have a team, what do? Do you forward that? Like I know some guys I talked to, they said, hey, I get the lead. Then I copy and paste it and put it in Slack for our team. Okay. Kind of makes sense. But what happens when you're in a meeting or looking at a house or talking with a seller? Then your whole bottleneck is on you relaying that lead to your team because they don't see it until you copy and paste and put it in Slack. Or they don't see it until you press the forward button and forward the email. I recommend every single investor has a CRM. And even better yet, get a CRM that can text your entire team when the lead comes in, right? So that's huge. Another thing, while we're talking about speed and getting in touch with leads, so speed's important. Picture this, they're on Google and they search sell my house fast. They see your website at the top. Then they see there's always 3 ads, right? So they fill out your website and then they're like, and they may not even know what they're looking for yet. They're just looking, how do I sell my house fast? So they see your website, fill it out. They fill out the next website. They fill out the next website. If this person's motivated and has a real problem, the first person to get in touch with them that seems like they're respectable and can actually close on our property usually gets a contract. The people that aren't super motivated, want to shop it around, those people, yeah, they'll talk to 5, 6 people. But the people that are really motivated, you call them quickly, get out to their house, lock it down. What happens to the other 2 people that filled out their form? They're calling and they're like, oh, these leads suck. The people just don't answer the phone. So what happens is once it's under contract, a lot of times people just quit answering the phone. They're like, okay, I got what I needed. We're done. Which brings up the point. How do you get in touch with these people quick and try to cut out the competition? So first thing is when a lead comes in, call really fast. My buddy Dustin gave me a tip. There's this website service called Callingly. I think it's callingly.com, which what you can do is you hook up your lead source through Zapier into Callingly. It's really cool. What it does is the lead hits your system. It'll call everyone on your team all at the same time. And then whenever you answer, it's going to say, Brian has a lead. Press 1 to call. And then it's just going to whisper it. And you press 1, it's calling that lead for you. So think about this. Like that person just filled out a form. Your phone just rang 2 seconds after. You got the call. You pressed 1. You're literally dialing them in like 30, 40 seconds after they filled out the form. It's like crazy high speed. And if you have a team, it's awesome because it's like first come, first serve. So if 3 people are busy and 1's available, that person's still getting there. It's not like you're round robining, sending the first lead to sales rep 1, the second lead to sales rep 2, third lead to sales rep 3, and then they might be tied up, can't call for 30 or 40 minutes. This is calling everybody at the same time, and whoever's available just gets to get it, right? So, and it would make your team hustle a little bit too. So that's a tip on speed, what I recommend there. Also, another thing, back to the scenario I was talking about with Google Ads, picture this person's filling out the form at 3 a.m. They fill out your website, and they're planning on filling out everyone's. They're just laying in bed looking around, right? What if after they filled out your form, you automated a text message that's sent to them saying, thanks for filling out a form. Here's a link to my calendar. Fill it out to pick a time for us to meet to come give you an offer. So think about this from the seller side. They fill out your form. They're planning on going to Google, but they just got a text message. So what happens? You just diverted them from Google, from searching, over to their text. They see they got this. They got the calendar link. They filled it out. They booked an appointment for tomorrow at 10 a.m. Boom, they're done. What do you think the likelihood of that person going and filling out other forms is going to be? It's going to be less. So that's a tip for you there on the speed side of things. So speed is so important. And here's another tip for you guys too. Anyone doing your own ads and sending them to your website, think about this. If you have a 2-step, whatever kind of form you have, you shoot them to your website, and on your thank you page, put a link with your Calendly link. It's like, hey, click here to book an appointment. But even more, what I like to do, put a video on the page. It's like, hey, this is Brian. Thanks for filling out a form on our site. We look forward to giving you an offer on your house. Hey, I wanted to explain how the process works. If you'd like, you can either wait for us to call you or say, hey, you know what? Someone's going to call you, whatever you want. Or you can click the calendar link below and set up a time to book an appointment. What that will do is that'll get one of our reps. They'll come call you. They'll pre-qualify. Or we wouldn't say pre-qualify, but they're going to give you a call and confirm the appointment. Then they're going to come to your house and you explain what the meeting's like. It's like, hey, they're going to come to your house, sit down, look at your house, see your conditions, see if we can help you out. And that's basically what it is. I'm going to stress here what I'm talking about. So they fill out a form. They go to your thank you page. They see this video. The purpose of that is to help them understand what's going to be next. So it kind of takes away the fear. It's being very transparent so people can kind of put their guard down. So they're like, okay, if I book this appointment, I know what's happening. I know someone's going to call me, confirm the appointment, then they're going to come to my house and we're going to have a meeting. Versus you just put the link, they click it, they don't know what's happening, and they're probably still going to book it, but it just puts them at ease, right? And then what I like to do even more after that on the thank you page, after they book a call, put another video. Hey, thanks for booking a call. Hey, here's what's going to happen. Number one, we're going to walk your house and basically run them through what your process is. So it could be like, hey, you know what? Next thing that's going to happen, we're going to give you a phone call. We're going to confirm your appointment. Then we're going to show up on that time that you booked. Here's how long it takes. It's going to take about 45 minutes. We're going to walk through your house, ask you some questions about condition, things like that, answer any questions you have about us. And then at the end of that meeting, we're going to give you a cash offer. So basically lay it all out for them in that video so that they know and they're like, okay, these people look professional. There's nothing shady going on here. Here's what they're trying to do. Obviously tailored to like what you're doing. And basically I got a script, like give a crap. Like figure out what you're trying to do and how you're trying to help them and who your audience is. because everyone's different. Like some people are targeting single families, some people are targeting multis. Like tailor this to your stuff, right? So next we get into, a lot of people are asking me all the time. It's like, hey, what do I do? Like, what do I do when I get them on the phone? What do we say? What's a script? Is there any way you can help out? So I'm not a sales trainer, anything like that, but I do my own deals. So I'm going to run you guys through what I do for myself, right? So first thing I always think about, like I said before, give a crap. These are real people that want to sell their house, right? So I know a lot of guys fall into a process. It's like we use Sandler is what we follow here. So, but a lot of guys fall into a process and they don't adapt for the people. They're like, no, the process said do this. The process said do that. And they lose fact. These are people that have real problems. So I always try to give a crap first and then follow a process, because the process is going to help you and help the seller accomplish the goal. So first thing, normally what I do when a lead comes in, I'm like, hey, this is Brian. You just filled out a form on one of our sites. Is now a good time to talk? They're like, okay. I usually go and do like this, and they call it an upfront contract. But the purpose of this call is mainly to learn about what you have going on, see what your goals are, and see how we can help you out. And then also to answer any questions you have about us. At the end of this call, which will take about 15 minutes, there's one of two things are going to happen. Number one, you're going to say, hey, Bri, this just isn't a fit. It doesn't feel right for me. So let's just part ways. Now, question for you, seller. If it doesn't feel like a fit, will you tell me that? You're not going to hurt my feelings, but what I'm trying to avoid is you telling me maybe, or you have to think about it. Then I'm calling you and things like that. Like, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Just let me know if it's not a fit. You cold telling me that, then you shut up. They're going to say yes. Okay. And then you say, but if it does look like a fit, here's what's going to happen. We're going to come out. I'm going to come out and basically the same thing it's in a video. If they didn't book the appointment, we're going to tell them that over the phone. If it is a fit, what we're going to do is we're going to set up an appointment to come see your house. What we're going to do there is we're going to walk the property. We're going to talk with you and your wife, whoever's involved, answer any questions, tell me about condition, things like that. And we're going to try to find a solution for you and give you a cash offer. Should only take about 30, 40 minutes out of your house. They're going to be like, okay, cool. So we have that set up front. That's the upfront contract. Basically, the purpose is to set expectations and also tell them at the end of this call, I'm expecting yes or no. No maybes, right? So some of the questions I'm going to ask them while I'm on the phone with them after we do that, like, okay, great. So why are you looking to sell? And I shut up. I got to say, why are you looking to sell? And I don't talk. And awkward silence is sometimes weird for people. Get used to it if you're in sales. So why do you want to sell? And we wait. They're going to tell you. And sometimes they're going to tell you, and it's a lie. Like they're going to say, you know what? I'm just thinking about moving. Okay, cool. And I don't really probe them at this point. So I'm like, okay, how fast do you want to sell? Or why do you want to sell? They tell me that. I'm like, okay, cool. How fast are you looking to sell? Then I shut up. Like, I don't elaborate. It's like, hey, how fast do you want to sell? Do you want to sell soon, late? I don't say that kind of stuff. It's just basically like, hey, how fast do you want to sell? And I want them to tell me. I don't want to put words in their mouth. And what I'm looking for here is I'm trying to find out, like, what's their problem? And is speed an issue that they have? Because sometimes they're going to say, hey, you know what? I just inherited this house. My parents left it to me. It's total piece of crap. I'm like, well, how fast are you looking to sell? They're like, I don't know. I've had it for 2 years, so it's not like a super rush. Versus, you know what? I just inherited this. I'm paying the taxes. I can't afford to pay these taxes, and I can't afford to fix it. I don't know what to do. Two totally different situations, two totally different things I would do, right? And then my next question is, which I know a lot of sales trainers will disagree with this. I ask, how much are you looking for? I don't even care what they tell me. I'm just trying to get an indication on like where they are. So they're going to tell me, I don't know, $200,000, right? So I just say, okay, I don't even get into it. Then I go into like, hey, well, how much work's your property need? Like, how old's your roof? How old's your furnace? And I go through the main like components of the house. Like, how old's your roof? How old's your furnace? How about your kitchen? And then sometimes I even ask too, like, they're like, oh yeah, our kitchen needs remodel. I'm like, how much do you think that would cost? Like in your area? Like, how much would that cost to fix? And then what I'm doing is I'm mainly trying to go through like furnace. I'm trying to have them see what's wrong with their property. So I'll go through like furnace, windows, roof, kitchen, bathrooms, like the main things there. Electric, does it have fuses, circuit breakers, things like that? And I go through that and I'm basically listening. And while they're telling me this too, they're going to be elaborating and telling me some of their pain, right? So all I'm doing is I'm trying to talk 20% of the time and listen 80% of the time. And just take it in, right? After I get that kind of stuff, it's like, hey, do you have a mortgage? They're going to like, yes or no. And if they say yes, I'm like, oh, how much do you owe? Just to get an indication there. So now we have how much they're looking for and how much they owe. We have this, right? What I'm going to ask next is, are you the only owner? Or like, who owns the property? Like, who do we need to talk with? Right? And then they're going to tell us that. And then I'm going to explain what we do. So I get into a little bit on this. I'm like, how much do you know about what we do? And they're always going to say nothing because they don't know. Then I say, okay, do you know what a real estate wholesaler is or flipper? And normally they say no. And I say, okay, let me break this down for you here. There's basically 3 types of investors, right? Well, really 2 types of investors, but kind of 3. So I'm going to say basically there's 3 types of investors. You have real estate wholesalers. And what they do is they'll call you, meet with you, and they're going to be purchasing your property and you lock it up in contract with them. And what their goal is to find an end buyer for your property and make the difference. So the nice thing about working with a wholesaler is you can sell your house for cash. You can sell it quick. They're not the end buyer though. They're not the person with cash. They're kind of the middleman, which is fine. They make their cut and they do their job. So it's good. Then you have guys that are doing cash. I'm a cash buyer. So what it is if you're working with me, we're going to come to an agreement. I'm the guy that's going to be giving you the cash. You don't have to worry about me backing out things like that or me finding a buyer because I am the buyer. You can put ease there. If we say we're closing in 30 days, we're closing in 30 days. You don't have to worry about me backing out at the end saying I couldn't find a buyer. So basically, I go into explaining the different types. You're going to want to tailor this to your industry and like what you do. Like if you're doing novations, things like that, like tailor that part, explain what you do. And also don't talk bad about other people while you're doing that. Just explain what the different scenarios are. You can make yourself sound a little bit better because you think you are, but don't talk bad. Don't be like, oh, you know what? Wholesalers suck. Here's what they're going to do. And they're going to screw you over. Like never do that kind of stuff because that's just shady. But always try to keep it up and up. So stay away from doing the shady stuff. After I told them, hey, I'm a cash buyer. I can make this really easy for you. We can close as fast or as slow, which is also important. Some people don't want fast. Some people want convenience. It's like, hey, you know what? I bought another house. I'm closing in 45 days. I need to stay in my house until then. And then sometimes what I'll do, like I did with one guy here, it was the exact same situation. We closed in 30 days and he needed to stay for 2 weeks and we just rented it to him. So it's like we try to make win-win situations for everybody, right? So then after we do that, I go back to, hey, so what's the best price you're thinking? Like what's the best price you can do considering the condition of your house? Then I shut up. I still don't care about what the price they're telling me, really. What I'm trying to see is, did they just go from $200,000 in the beginning of the call to $190,000? Or did they go from $200,000 to $160,000? Because that shows me kind of like what their motivation's like. If you're going down to 160, it means I'm probably getting your property for 140. If you're going from 200 to 190, maybe your mortgage is that high, which we would have uncovered in this call. Or maybe there's a reason you can't take less than that. That's important to find out to see if it makes sense. You know what I mean? And then after that, it's like, okay, cool. What's your schedule look like? Let's set up a time to see it. And I usually try to get there same day. Like if it seems like a good deal, I'm trying to get out in front of these people same day, just because if it's a good deal, most likely they're checking with other people too. And you want to be the first investor there to lock it up versus procrastinating, right? And again, here's what I recommend. And I see this sometimes too. Think about the sellers. They're under the assumption that they just sold their house. They're closing in 30 days when you lock it up under contract, and they're making arrangements. They're getting a moving truck. They're signing their new leases. They're getting ready packed, things like that. In 3 weeks, especially if you're wholesaling and you can't find a buyer, make sure you have a way to close on this property because it's real crappy. And I've come across some of these situations where I talk to a seller and like, you know what? I had this under contract and the person backed out on me last minute. I don't know what to do now because I got other arrangements. So you always want to think about the seller and make sure there's profit in there for yourself too. But make sure you're giving accurate prices when you're locking them down so that you can actually close, right? So to recap, what we're talking about is if you're generating leads, call them quickly. Remember to think about who's calling, right? Like who's your first touch? You don't want your $10,000 marketing budget being held in a $4 an hour overseas person's hands. Like that's a big bottleneck, very crucial part of your business. Have a good process, have a good CRM, sound like a professional, close the deal. So I just wanted to put this together to try to help you guys out. If anybody has any questions or anything, hit me up. If you guys do want what the text message script that I send out is, just shoot an email to info@motivated-leads.com and ask for the SMS script. We'll shoot it over to you exactly what I send with our Calendly. Basically, get out there and crush it, guys. Hit us up if you have any questions. If you do need leads, we do offer pay per lead where our leads are guaranteed. You only pay for leads, no monthly fees, really cut and dry. So if you are an investor looking for leads, we can help you there. But I hope this helped. Let me know if you guys have any questions on the sales process, things like that. And until next time, get out there, crush it, close some deals. See you guys.